Okay, I don't think.
Everybody.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Am I here? Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
you're here
frozen
now.
for a minute. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good Tuesday morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the America First Warehouse and the America First Media and Television Network. Today, folks, we've got a special show for you. We are joined by two of the nation's leading voices on school safety. Lori Alhadeff, she's the founder of Make Our Schools Safe. It's the driving force behind Alyssa's Law, which we will get into deeply. It's created in the memory of her daughter, Alyssa, who was tragically and what could have been avoidably killed in the Parkland school shooting in 2018. Along with Lori, many of you know Wayne Black. He's a national recognized school security expert with more than 4 decades of experience conducting threat assessments and helping schools, buildings, synagogues, churches across America improve their safety and emergency preparedness. If you could, Bill, please bring up Lori and Wayne. We want to welcome them to the show. Oh, hell, you are up. Okay, I cannot tell that. Thank you. Welcome, both of you. Thank you again for being here. Many of you know Wayne Black. He's been on our other show many times. Just an expert in firearms, school, and church safety. Decades long expert in this.
Expert at everything, really.
Maybe an expert at everything. Knows a lot about bikes too. So, but we want to really start with you, Lori. If you could kind of just introduce yourself, and if you don't mind, because this all stems from what was just the tragedy of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school shooting in 2018, where your daughter Alyssa was tragically killed. If you can maybe take us a little bit through that day and what really motivated you as a person to take this step to create this law, where many people would maybe go a different direction, where you chose to take this and turn it into what could be a positive for schools across this nation. So welcome. Thank you, Lori. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me here today. So it was Valentine's Day in 2018, about 8 years ago. It was a day that was supposed to be filled with chocolate and love, and I brought my daughter Alyssa to school. I gave her a chocolate bar and a pair of diamond earrings, and I put them in her ears that morning. Alyssa looked so beautiful. She was wearing a black and white dress, and I dropped Alyssa off at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. I told Alyssa I loved her. Later that day, I received a text message saying shots fired at Stoneman Douglas High School, kids running and jumping the fence. I immediately had a sense of loss that came over my body. You know, as a mother, you know when something is wrong with your child.
Mm-hmm.
I drove my car as quickly as I could to MSD. I parked my car on a sidewalk, and I got in my car and I just started running towards the school. There was so many people standing around looking at their phones. Everybody really didn't know what was going on. It was complete chaos. There was no communication. Alyssa's best friend Abby came up to me, and Abby looked at her phone and got a text message saying that Alyssa was shot. I immediately fell to the ground, and I got up and I started running towards the police officer. And because in my mind, I think that Alyssa is going to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kind of said they didn't know what was going on, and I ended up going with a police officer to the reunification center. It wasn't set up yet. And then I went with a police officer to the hospital. Alyssa unfortunately wasn't there. She wasn't the Jane Doe in the emergency room. And I went back with the police officer to the reunification center. And at this point, there was hundreds of people running around, parents looking for their loved one. And Alyssa was the type of kid that would do anything to contact me. She would find a way to take someone's phone and reach out to me. And I just knew as time kept going by that it just wasn't good. We were put in a big room, and I remember it just being freezing, and I was wearing this little blank tank top, and not only was my body physically going into trauma because it was so cold, my mind was in trauma, just not knowing what was happening. You know, can't believe my oldest child, Alyssa, who was only 14 years old, was not, couldn't find her. And so what ended up happening is we got called into a room at 2 o'clock in the morning and was told that Alyssa was shot in the face and that she was unrecognizable, which was actually the wrong information. Alyssa was shot in top of the head and in the heart and the femoral artery a total of 8 times. But she was recognizable, and
Mhm.
they had us sign paperwork, drive our car home, things that in that moment should never have happened.
Yeah.
And Alyssa was shot in her English classroom. The gunman, he walked through an unlocked door, walked onto campus, walked past the security guy in the golf cart that knew it was Crazy Boy with a gun bag.
Hmm.
He didn't call for a lockdown. He didn't press his panic button. And he loaded up his gun in the stairwell. Alyssa was in room 1216. He shot directly at Alyssa in the direct line of fire. Alyssa was still alive and she ran backwards. The gunman went down the hallway but came back to Alyssa and shot again at her. And Alyssa was killed, and along with 16 others that were murdered that day, and 17 people that were shot, they all lived.
Hmm.
And months later, my husband and I went into the building. There was still blood on the floor, glass on the floor. And we saw where Alyssa was killed. And it's just so painful and difficult. And the trauma that my family experiences, that, you know, having a child being shot in school is not right. It's not okay.
Mm-mm.
And that's why we need to do more to make our schools safe.
Wow. Wow. I can't even imagine. And none of us really can imagine, nor do we ever want to imagine what that must have been like. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's difficult to hear. And what's even more difficult to hear, I think, and Jim, I'm sure, and Wayne certainly agree, is how avoidable this could have been. Honestly, there are, I don't know what we've learned ever since Columbine. I know it's getting better. But I would have thought at that time that this schools would have just taken safety. I was one under the assumption, and I don't know if Jim was. Jim probably had kids in school. I had one child in school during all that, where you think, well, your school's just safe. You send them off to school. That's a safe place for them. That's maybe bullying. We all know things like that happen, but not something like this. It's unimaginable. And unfortunately, today it's more and more common. It hasn't since that day. There's just been so many more, and it continues to happen. Hence the reason why I think what you're doing, and with Wayne's help, are really going to make a difference in this country. Jim, do you have anything before I ask a question? Or
You've said it best. I'm sorry for your loss. It's a horrible thing. And I know we're going to get into what you've done since then, but it just want to say I'm sorry, my condolences, and it's horrible. And do you believe overall that it's getting better, or do you still see schools? I know Wayne has his opinions, but do you see schools better?
I definitely know that schools are safer since 2018. Here in Florida, we've passed a school safety law for the last 9 years, and it's about creating those layers of safety protection. And we've passed Alyssa's law with my nonprofit organization, Make Our Schools Safe, now in 12 states across the country. That's a panic button used in a medical emergency or worst case scenario, an active shooter situation. But schools are absolutely safer since 2018. Things from making sure doors are locked, from behavioral threat assessments, more mental health, and it's about continuing to create those layers of safety and keeping the threat out away from our students and our schools.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. After we got a little over a minute on this first segment. So after this break, Wayne, maybe you can explain a little bit about your relationship with Lori, how you two came together, how you know each other. I'm sure it's through this tragedy, but then how that all worked out, and maybe your help, because I think you actually went and assessed, if I'm not mistaken, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School after the fact. Am I wrong about that, Wayne? Or
No, I was hired as an expert witness on the case.
You were?
In the civil case, and that's how I know Lori. And Lori gave me a lot of insight with my book. I interviewed Lori for the book.
Okay. Maybe when we come back, you can explain a little bit for our new audience, a little bit about the book and how that's just absolutely the blueprint for what schools should be following and helping in what's Alyssa's law and what will hopefully be Alyssa's act, which we will talk about in further detail here after the break. So please, folks, stay tuned. More to come with this. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
Most people think they have options when searching for the best deals when they travel. But here's the shocking truth. 100% of the major travel agencies are owned by just two entities, Expedia and Booking Holdings. They claim to offer the lowest rates, but due to the hotel rate parity agreement, they all have the same pricing, limiting genuine competition. When you book through these sites, you act as your own travel agent, but the profits are going to organizations that don't support our patriot values. We cannot allow that to continue. So, we decided to make travel great again by starting a US-based travel membership platform, mypatriottravel.com. We are patriots helping patriots. Together, we can disrupt the travel industry by not spending our hard-earned dollars supporting the radical left. For just $29.99 per month, you gain access to true wholesale rates on travel, saving you on average 35% and up to 65%. Book as often as you like, with no limits. Keep your hard-earned dollars in your pocket and spend them on things you need and want to support. Go to mypatriottravel.com/TAFW and grab your membership today. mypatriottravel.com/TAFW. Making travel great again.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
I'm sure you guys remember the platinum single Justice for All with Donald Trump and the J6 Prison Choir. Well, get ready for round 2. We're coming out with Anthem of the Free with High Res and the J6 Prison Choir. It's coming out now. It's pre-sale until December 19th when it drops. Get yours on all platforms, Google Play, Apple iTunes. Get it. It's going to be hot.
Justice for all, our voices ring. The anthem of the free.
It's me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
And welcome back, everybody. Thank you again for joining us and starting your day off here with Two Guys, One Coup on the America First Warehouse and the America First Media and Television Network. Before the break, we discussed Wayne and a little bit about his background and about the book called School Insecurities, which Jim and I both are very familiar with and is the blueprint for school safety. If there's, I don't want to call it the Bible because I don't like equating anything to the Bible, but truly it's a step-by-step guide in protecting schools and buildings and office buildings and churches and synagogues and you name it across this country. Every school system and school board should have that book in front of them at every school meeting if they're not implementing it, and people should present it to them if they aren't. But can you tell us, Wayne, a little bit about your background, and then what caused you to actually write the book? What made you think about that? And then, of course, your relationship with Lori and how it applies to Alyssa's law, and then hopefully Alyssa's act here.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
Our pleasure.
Look, I'd been doing assessments at government facilities and schools and churches for probably years before this, but what really caused me to write the book was Lori's story, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. That triggered it. So it's a guidebook for parents and grandparents, and it talks about, I put my assessment in there, my assessment guidelines, what parents and grandparents and what school administrators should do, and it's really simple and basic. Alyssa's law has been great in that in the states that it's active, it's forced, and I say forced, schools to do the right thing with regard to emergency notification. Many schools, as I travel around, and Lori knows this, are still in denial. It won't happen here. It's always someplace else. Why do we have to do this? I was at a school 2 weeks ago here in Florida, a private school, and I was surprised by what I saw. Just basic things. So we have to get people's attention. Lori's doing that. There's no one in the keep our kids safe business that's more driven than Lori. So what she's doing is really, really commendable, and she's got national attention. So
good.
If we could get school administrators and teachers to treat the schools like they do their home, we'd be farther ahead. Lock the doors. Don't let strangers in. Do all those kinds of things. But the emergency notification procedure that Alyssa's law mandates is really, really important. So
wow,
I'm happy that that's happening, and hopefully the act will go nationwide. Some schools will do it on their own, guys, and some will have to be forced to do it. It's just as simple as that.
And unfortunately, when they're forced to do it, something happened. So
yeah, generally something happened, something tragic and all that. Wayne, when you say forced to do it, what are the hindrances? We talk about it a lot, and we've talked about it, Wayne, in the past, Jim, you and I, about budgets. Are they worried? Are they screaming, we don't have the money to put in a system like this, or we just don't have the infrastructure to do it? What are the hindrances to getting schools to do what is common sense safety?
I've heard everything. Look, there's the concept called a loco parentis, which means in place of the parents, schools have an absolute duty, moral and ethical duty, to protect those children in their care during the time that the kids are in their care. So why do they not do it? I think it's they don't know what they don't know. That's where we would start. They don't know how to do it. Some schools form these security committees and they just bumble through it. Some schools relegate school security to their IT department to throw up some cameras, and nobody watches them. And sometimes they claim budget, and those are the schools that send teachers every year to Las Vegas for a boondoggle convention. So look, there's money out there. There's all kinds of grants available, FEMA grants and things like that. Currently there's a $200,000 FEMA grant out there floating around per school that people can use. We try to help them with that. In the book, it talks about how to get those grants, but that's what schools have to do. The big thing is normalcy bias. Their psychic doesn't allow them to think that what happened to Lori will happen at their school. And that's the hurdle right there.
Which also is the same normalcy bias that they have in buildings or they have anywhere. And I'm glad you brought that up, Wayne, because you mentioned it perfectly. Protect them like you would your own home. We don't have normalcy bias in our home. We lock our doors at night. We lock our cars when I go to a store. There's simple things that you do in life that protect yourself and your family every single day. It's just crazy to me that's not applied to the most vulnerable people in our nation, our children. It just amazes me. And so Jim and I we all had children. We can speak to this. I don't know that when my children were younger, the school wasn't locked that I know. I'd walk in every day. I mean, it's when did we get to this point when this started happening, and you know, you talk about Columbine and everything else since then. When and how did we get to this point, and how wasn't it just an immediate, every school needs to be locked down? I just don't understand the mindset of school systems and or the people there. Is it lazy? I know normalcy bias is the fact that people are, it's not going to happen here, but it seems to me like it's just pure laziness. People don't want to take the steps, these simple steps to do this.
Yeah, you're right. At some point, I always go back to they don't know what they don't know. They don't think it basically it's a form of denial. They don't think that can happen at their school, and they're not prepared. A lot of schools don't have emergency response plans. A lot of schools don't have a lockdown plan. When they get when the fire alarm goes off, not a drill. When the fire alarm goes off, they still evacuate, which is a mistake. They evacuate on a bomb threat, which is a mistake. We call that a target workup. So there's a whole bunch of things that we talk about in the book that hopefully schools should do, and it's the book's a guidebook. It's like, I think it's now on Amazon for like $14.
Jeez, simple, easy plan and cheap. You know, honestly, cheap. Jim, anything before I ask another one?
It's when you look at the schools, and I'm going to use ours as an example. Wayne, one of the things that you said early on, because it was kind of one of the things that I complained about a lot, is when these schools say, well, the money, the all this stuff, but then you hear these principals went to this event out of state. They all had to fly. They all had to stay in hotels. And you sit there and you look at that cost and you think, maybe that would have covered this, or maybe that would have covered that. And so those are some of the things that I'm glad you pointed out, because from my standpoint, I do think, what purpose do those gain? Are those more important than adding this to secure the schools? So that was an interesting point from there. So
it happens. We see it all the time. We see with the school teachers unions and those that are in charge of it. We know who they are. These big excursions they go on, and it just absolutely, as a parent or as a citizen, as a human being, even if you don't have children in that school, as a human being, you got to know that this is basically bullcrap. Like, we need to have our schools protected. Lori, real quick, we got a couple minutes, and then we'll talk more about it afterwards. But this drove you to go in a direction where you can make a difference and are making a difference in this world. You took that tragedy and you turned it into what some would call a positive. I don't know that anything really positive, but it is certainly a positive from an outsider looking in movement, and that's make our schools safe. And can you tell us about that, and then how that transferred over to Alyssa's Law real quick, and then we'll talk even more deeply about it after this break.
Yeah, so right after the tragedy, I actually ran for the Broward County School Board. I've been on the school board the last 7.5 years, because I knew that in order for me to make change and impact at school, to be on the school board. And so I've definitely done that in making school safety a top priority. But my husband and I, we also started the nonprofit organization, Make Our Schools Safe. And we knew we wanted to solely focus on school safety. And we do that through Alyssa's Law, Alyssa's Act, MOS clubs, student-led safety clubs, where students in high schools help to create a culture of safety in their school. And then we've raised over $1 million and given back to schools for different school safety projects like bulletproof glass, cameras, mental health programs, security huts, and panic buttons. And so our website's makeourschoolsafe.org. You know, we would love for everybody that's listening to join the school safety movement. It's so important for parents to be a part of the conversation, going to your school board meetings, speaking up, and asking those questions. Do you have a lockdown policy? You know, what are your school safety procedures, and how are you implementing these layers of safety protection? We had 2 MOS Club students go to their school board meeting and ask why they didn't have panic buttons. And after that meeting, the school board members put $700,000 towards panic buttons. So they put those in place at their school.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. I know during the break, and Jim will ask it when we come. We'll talk about the states that Alyssa's law has already been implemented in. That, of course, leaves out the states that they haven't, and what's maybe some updates on what's going on with those, and maybe why they haven't, and all of that, and also how this is transferring over to the national level in the House, current House. What's the House bill again?
HR 6809.
HR 6809.
Yes,
Okay.
Alyssa's Act.
And we'll talk about how long that's been in front of them, right, Jim? Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't say that.
Oh, I thought you were. Yeah. That was Bill in the background. Sorry about that. Yeah, we'll talk about how long that's been sitting there, and what maybe an update on that, and hopefully they'll do something about it. So we'll talk all about Alyssa's law, Alyssa's Act, where it stands, and what states they're in right after this break. Stay tuned.
Me, Joe the Box, the America First Warehouse, most patriotic venue in all the land.
The America First Warehouse, a beacon for all to see, a symbol of unity. For the patriots of America, we stand tall and free. In the America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
The America First Ultra MAGA Store. For all your MAGA needs. We sell t-shirts, tumblers, flags, hats, sneakers, bumper stickers, and a whole lot more. The most patriotic America First retail store. The America First Ultra MAGA Store.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
Corporate transfer, fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine. We wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. We give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
All right, we are back for segment 3. Thank you for joining us. We are talking to Lori and Wayne, and one of the questions that we are going to ask now is, there was a couple references to panic buttons. Wayne, do you want to go into a little bit what exactly is a panic button, and where are these normally located?
Well, Laura can give you the details. It's her baby. She developed it, but I can tell you how they work and how they don't work. In any emergency, there's a group of people, they see something happening, could be a car accident or whatever it is, or a shooting, everyone thinks that somebody else is calling 911, so that's a delay. So we have a saying, when seconds count, the police are only minutes away. So this panic, this ability to hit that panic button, which notifies law enforcement right away, really saves lives and saves time. So the other thing is, in an emergency, you may not be able to get to your phone. Your fine motor skills won't let you dial turn on the phone, hit your code, dial 911. So the panic concept short circuits all of that. And so thanks to Lori and what she's done, it's a law and requiring people to do it. It's fantastic. I'm in a group with an integrator called Security 101. They're a national integrator, access control and CCTV and alarms and everything, and all over the United States. Our program is called Safe Learning 101. So we're trying to educate people on how to marry their needs, which is what I talk to them about, with the technology, which is what Security 101 talks to them about. So,
Well, okay.
And they handle there's all kinds of panic buttons and companies that make them, if they're, that are acceptable and good. But Lori really drove this whole concept.
Laura, you want to expand on this a little bit?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to say is, in our banks, we have panic buttons. We've had that for years and years to protect our money.
Yep.
Our elected officials have panic buttons in their office. So Alyssa's law started first in New Jersey. It was the first state to enact Alyssa's law.
Wow.
And it was a hardwired panic button in the main office. And then Alyssa's law evolved to an app-based panic button, but we couldn't really get teachers to download the app on their phone. And like Wayne said, it was hard to find the app. And what is the app even updated? Do they know their passwords? Are they logged in? So then it evolved to a wearable panic button. The teacher wears it around their neck with their ID. So they press the button a certain amount of times for a medical emergency or staff assist. And it's geofenced the area so they know exactly where to go. And then in the worst case scenario, it's used for an active shooter. So this was actually used in the Appalachia shooting. The student saw the gunman on campus, told the teacher pressed their panic button, and help got there faster. Time equals life, and the faster that we can get help on the scene, the more lives that we could save. And 9 people that were shot that day, they all lived because help got there faster. So we've passed Alyssa's law in 12 states. So New Jersey, Florida, New York, Texas, Tennessee, Utah, Oklahoma, Georgia, Washington, Oregon. There's funding for Connecticut and Virginia and West Virginia. And so we're going to just keep going state by state to pass Alyssa's law in every state around the country as a standard level of school safety protection in our schools.
Wow.
Awesome.
So thank you for answering that and asking it, Jim, because the panic button was like, did students have this? Was it an app on the phone? I know for instance, I'll go try to find an app on my phone and it takes me forever, and especially in a panic or crisis situation, that's hard to fumble through and all that. So this makes a lot more sense. The app did make sense, but I thought, do students have that? Do they have access to it? And that's good too, because that was my question. If students have access to it, how does it become abused? And then when does that become just a nightmare for everybody involved? So it's good the teachers have it. It's already been proven to be used and saving lives. And you mentioned the states. What's taken so long for the other ones to get on board? What are the hindrances, I guess, or the problems that you run into?
So it has to go through the legislative process, and that definitely takes time. So it could take up to 3-4 years to pass Alyssa's law in a state because there's other priorities, and it's actually been passed unanimously on final passage in every state that we've passed Alyssa's law already. And then the other concern is the funding. We want to try to pass this law as a funded, and then also making it mandatory.
Yeah.
Because as a school board member, we don't want unfunded mandates. So we need to, so funding is part of the problem, right? But there is funding out there. So
Yes.
schoolsafety.gov is a great resource to go to connect to different grants and funding mechanisms that are out there. We've also have created the Alyssa Aldeff School Safety Fund, and so that is another creative way that we're trying to connect that with Alyssa's Law, so that there is funding to put in these for these panic buttons. Now, what we're talking about for the first year is about $1,000 per school per year. After
Jeez.
that, it drops down to about $8,000 per school per year. So you're really not talking about a lot of money. It's like one PTO fundraiser.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's basically, you're right.
That's
What
right.
it is. And that's incredible. And the one thing that you said, and then Wayne, I'll let you jump in here, was that when it goes to legislation and it takes 3 to 4 years, that's frustrating for anybody in the world. That kind of thing just frustrates the living hell out of me. And that there are other priorities. I cannot think of more priorities than this. Initially, that should be top priority. As you have mentioned, we protect our buildings, we lock our doors, we lock our corridors, we protect our homes. How is this not top priority? But I understand it's politics, and they're going to put their projects ahead of things, and that's the mindset that's got to change. There, Wayne, your thoughts on it?
Look, legislators, many of them give themselves raises in 2 weeks.
Yep.
If they can do that, they can protect the kids. Why would we not want to protect our kids? I mean, we protect all those other people, members of Congress, like Lori said, banks and all that stuff. Why wouldn't we want to protect our kids? There are a million reasons that I can think of that kids get hurt in school, but there's not one good reason.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to focus on, keeping those kids safe. And Lori and her group are really leading the charge in that regard. We just have to we have to do more. And if someone objects, Lori, I don't know what you're doing with people that they object to Alyssa's act, but if they do, I mean, you may not want to do it, but I'd like to make them famous.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd like to light them up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, if you know, honestly, if you know, like if you come across, and it may not be something you want to do, but I think they need to be publicly announced, like Wayne said, made famous. If there's a particular legislator, and this locally or nationally, that is really giving you problems with trying to get this thing passed, give us the names. We'd love to get it out there. And because that's the kind of pressure it's going to take to get these people, and Wayne and Jim, I think you would agree, to get these people to get off their rear ends and actually stand behind and get this passed, is the public opinion pressure. It matters a lot. And they also want to be reelected as well. So, I mean, there's motivation on our end to, and reasons to make them famous like that. What are, other than financial objections, have there just been people that have just said, we don't need it, Lori, we don't, it's just not, it's going to be the normalcy bias as Wayne's talks about?
So I just want to clarify. So Alyssa's act at the federal level creates minimum standards for emergency response. So minimum standards for the panic buttons and digital mapping. So when we pass Alyssa's law at the state level, it has those minimum standards that they have to abide by. Yeah. And so we are looking for co-sponsors on Alyssa's Act. If you know a congressman or congresswoman, they can go to our website, you can makeourschoolsafe.org. We have a clickable map, and we also have a link to reach out to your personal congressperson to get them to sign on as a co-sponsor for HR 6809. We have 17 co-sponsors. We need hundreds more. And to get it moving. So that's really important, to take action to help us get co-sponsors on Alyssa's Act.
And that was HR 6809?
09.
Yes.
And we have a graphic. Bill, if you could put that up there real quick, because this will give you a QR code, which takes you to Make Our Schools Safe, right? If I'm not mistaken, Lori. I don't know if Bill, if that graphic is working. Oh, you don't? Oh, no worries. That's fine. We'll get that up there, and it has a QR code, and it's on our social medias, and we'll get that all straightened out, and make sure that you get it. But I guess real quick, a minute left in this third segment. You said you had, there it is. So that's it. So that QR code that you're seeing on your screen now, scan that. That takes you to Make Our Schools Safe. There is the HR 609. It's all in this. I know it's kind of hard. It's jumbled up in there a little bit, but just scan that code. That code does work, and it gets you there, and you can help. And then you can also reach out to your congressman and all that. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. We'll put that up again before the end of the show as well. When we come back, though, I do want to talk a little bit about, you mentioned you had 17 sponsors, co-sponsors. Now, who are they, and why does a hack like this, and I'm learning myself, need so many sponsors to get something like this pushing? You think it would just be common sense. But when we come back from that, we'll talk about the actual Alyssa's Act that's in front of Congress right now. Be right back.
250 years ago, a nation was born, built on courage, driven by freedom, defined by patriots who stood their ground. Today, we don't just remember that legacy, we wear it. This is more than a shirt. It's a symbol of strength, freedom, and pride. I'm Steve Stern, COO of theflagshirt.com, and I invite you to celebrate 250 years of the United States with us. Wear your pride, stand for something, get your shirts today.
Politics feeling broken? What if you could match with politicians the way you match on a dating app, but based on real values? Meet OpScore from Go USA, the first ever values-based political matchmaker. Think Match.com for elections that aligns voters with politicians. We score politicians on a nonpartisan scale based on your priorities. Track your politician scores and take our OpScore Challenge survey to match with leaders who align with you at opscore.org. Stop voting blind. Start matching smart. Politicians work for you.
Are you a true American? Then it's time to get connected. Download the America First Media and Television app and stay up to date with real news, bold voices, and live events from the America First Warehouse. From national broadcasts and exclusive shows to comedy nights, concerts, and special events. It's all right at your fingertips. No filters, no spin, just America First. Download the America First Media and Television app today and be part of the movement.
Corporate transfer. Fine professional, moving and storage, and inventory management.
If the vote count is accurate, then how come the number of voters is different? And if it's not accurate, then why was it certified? We are suing Letitia James and the New York State Board of Elections for a conspiracy against fundamental rights. This is not about who won, it's not about what party, it's about the fact that they don't care about your rights.
It's me, Joe the Box, and I'm John the Blanket with the America First Podcast. That's what I'm talking about. The Fred Rubino Podcast coming to you from the America First Warehouse.
Welcome, everybody, to the James Justice Show, tearing these airwaves apart with all the craziness that goes on in the world.
Welcome to the Patriots Podcast. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the On the Right Side podcast here at the America First Warehouse in Long Island, New York.
Shane Jenkins here with another episode of Liberty's Cage.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Red, Right, and True.
We are streaming live on America First Media and Television app.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Downey Jr. Podcast. Be free, stay free.
The America First Warehouse, where our hearts will always be.
Welcome back again, everybody. The hour always goes quick here. That's for sure, and too quick because there's so much to talk about. Briefly before the break, we discussed sponsorship for the Alyssa's Act, and you said you had 17 co-sponsors. By co-sponsors, and I want to make sure I'm clear, you mean actually legislators, people in Congress that are helping co-sponsor this currently? I don't need you to name all 17, but are they basically Florida? Are they congressional in Florida, or is it nationwide that you're getting sponsorship from?
Yeah, it's nationwide. It's
Okay.
Republicans and Democrats, and it's the lead sponsor on the bill is Congressman Burgess Owens.
Yep.
And then we have Moskowitz and Gottheimer, so we have Democrats too. So it's a bipartisan bill, and it's gaining a lot of traction. It really is. I mean, this is easy, right? Creating minimum standards for
you would
emergency
think.
response. And, unfortunately, we continue to have school shootings, and we need to do more. Our elected officials need to do more to help protect our kids in schools.
Yep, no doubt about it. So 17 of them, that's good, but there's yeah, you're right. You need more.
See, the
And
Congress
there's-
can come
Go on.
together on some things. I mean, and this is one of those that this better not be I mean, I want to see who votes against it.
That's the
Like
point.
Wayne said, that it's just not. This is crazy. So,
Yeah.
and I might just go ahead and my congressman just kind of give him a little note and move him forward. So
Yeah, I would. All the ones that aren't, if you're listening out there, if your congressmen are not right now sponsoring this bill, contact them and keep contacting them. There's nothing more important, I think, at this point than protecting our children. There's a lot of legislation out there. There's Save America Act. There's a lot of things going through, but honestly, what does all that matter if these things still happen? Wayne, you wanted to talk a little bit about active shooter training or what the schools do, and what you can almost guarantee 100% is going to happen. So, yeah, go ahead.
I've said this on your show before. Yep. Last year, there's a 100% chance that there's going to be more school shootings, and it came true, and there is, and hopefully I'm wrong. I want to be wrong, but I've never been wrong on this. There's going to be more and more school shootings. The trick is to stop that, and with what Lori's doing and what other people can do and some technology, we can stop that. Schools have active shooter training, and what to do about when an active shooter gets in the school. Not all of them have, let's keep the active shooter out of the school training, access control and things like that. That's the trick. If an active shooter gets in the school, inside the school with a firearm or even a other weapon, somebody's getting hurt. So the trick is to have limited access points and keep that threat outside the school. And that's with mental health monitoring if it's a student. That's with access control if it's an outside person. I'm always worried about what we call a CCA, a complex coordinated attack. And that would be a Columbine kind of attack with one or more active shooters. So we just have to do what's right for kids. There's no reason for a child to get hurt in a school. We can protect
Absolutely
them.
not.
We just have to be committed to do it.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Lori, you talked a little bit in the first segment, obviously, about the shooter was known to security, known to the school system, known in the area. I don't want to go into that background and who because he's an animal and I don't like giving credit or anything to it. But the important point I think here is that there are known people in these areas and people do nothing about them. In that situation, there's no excuse, and I'm not asking what the security guard's excuse was, but what did he say? Why didn't he do it? Does anybody even know? And was it just out of pure laziness or thinking nothing's going to happen again?
Well, I would say that one of the other issues was the lack of training.
Okay.
And so, when there is an emergency situation, your body goes into fight or flight. And you also fall back to your training. And so that lack of training, lack of ability to know that I could call for the lockdown, lack of policies by the school board. There was a lot of things that went wrong before the February 14th, during February 14th, and after. So I would love for people to learn from our tragedy, learn from the death of the 17. There's reports that are created after words. The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Commission was convened and created reports. There are no excuses to sit idly by in a bubble thinking that this tragedy or a school shooting will not happen to where you live or at your school. So you have to take action, and elected officials need to be held accountable, school board members need to be held accountable, and superintendents need to be held accountable to make sure that they're implementing things like mental health into their schools and making sure that these safety policies are put into place.
Yep, without a doubt. Jim, anything?
Yeah, and I know this is just a side note, but instead of Congress having to go every 2 years and then right when they get elected they're running again, maybe we extend this to 4 years terms and let them get stuff done. And so this is one of the things that you can do on these type of things is to get the things like this done. They can fight on other stuff, but this is obvious. One of the things I would like to see differently, and maybe it is out there. Maybe people are doing it. Wayne and Lori, you can confirm or deny it, or say it's not happening. I don't know, but the mental health of our children, we're seeing it more and more and more. And it's whether you want to get into the whole dysphoria and things like that, we can get into that, but there's more to it than that. Okay, there's how do we deal with it? And it's like the teachers are not prepared for it, and not just prepared for it, but their counselors aren't prepared for it. So because you have to be able to identify a child. A teacher should be able to say, go to the counselor and say, I think we need to talk to him or her, and we need to discuss this with them. Are there things being done, part of these laws that are helping, or are we still going to have these inexperienced teachers in this matter?
So I think that, we created behavioral threat assessment teams that convene. So if someone says they're going to shoot up a school, there's a behavioral threat assessment that is done. So you have a teacher involved with that, law enforcement officer, mental health person, and administrator. That's here in Florida. So deem it whether it's a low, medium, or high level threat. And so they're able to then create a safety plan for that student. So maybe they can't bring a backpack to school. Maybe they have to have their backpack checked every single day to make sure they're not bringing in a gun to the school. One of the things that I created with Make Our Schools Safe with Stacy Steinbaum was a student's guide for a healthy mind, a journal for teenagers.
Okay.
And one of the things that we talk about is mental fitness for the brain. Right. You can't see what's going on in here, but there's things that we can do, like journaling, for example, and exercising in a healthy way to help with students' mental health.
Wow, I didn't know that. Is that available to anybody, and where can they get it off of the Make Our School Safe website?
Yes, it's on our website.
Nice. Okay. And how's that being received? Because it's like my kid doesn't have mental health. I mean, there's no mental health, and we see it all the time. And partly, I think it's all the social media garbage and all the influence there, and how you combat that is for a whole different show. But are you getting good reaction to that book, to that information? Are school boards reacting to it well?
We are getting great feedback from it. Our Moss Club students are getting the book. We're giving it to our Moss Club students, and it's geared and focused on teenagers.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really, really important that we're reaching our teenagers and, trying to help them deal with their problems in a healthy way. Give them these resiliency skills so that they are able to talk out their problems instead of having to use a gun or a knife or start fighting with somebody.
Yeah.
Or self-harm.
Or self-harm, correct. Or self-harm.
So,
Wayne,
we've had a lot of suicides.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So what Lori's doing is way out front in terms of private schools around the country. Public schools are doing different things. You mentioned backpacks. One of the solutions that a lot of private schools are doing is going to requiring clear backpacks. So it's just, some of it is so simple. What I see when I ask people, because I interview nurses, guidance counselors, staffers, assistant principals, etc., deans, when I travel around, is I see a siloed effect. I see a disconnect between what Lori's talking about, having a meeting, having a team effect. I see the nurses, well, I don't know who I should tell, and the guys, but well, the nurses didn't tell me, and the dean said, well, it's probably nothing, and then it goes back to the dean's decision. So look, when a child, and we're talking about internal shooters as opposed to external shooters, which is another threat. When a child comes to school and they look different, act different, smell different, they're injured or whatever it is, and they're sulking, whatever it is, somebody needs to do something about that.
Correct.
And if it reaches to a certain point, you got to kick that over to law enforcement. Schools are not law enforcement. Most big departments now have threat assessment teams. Kick it to law enforcement. And by the way, if that child makes threats and brings a box cutter to school and does a bunch of things, they don't have to come back.
Correct.
Because the needs of the other children are more important than that one child that's acting up for whatever reason. They can get, a lot of schools say, okay, go to counseling, and then when you get cleared by a forensic psychologist, you can then come back to school.
Come back and re-enter the school. Correct.
There's this thing with public schools that we have to take care of them. Schools are not equipped unless they have an onboard forensic psychologist or some really good guys come. Public schools are not equipped for this. That's been the problem. That's what I talk about with red flags.
Correct.
You can't keep bringing the problem back in and expecting a different result.
Exactly. Unfortunately, folks, we've come to the end. But before that, Bill, can you put up that graphic one more time? Because I want people to scan that code, and we want them to go to Make Our Schools Safe, and we want to help donate. And from there, you can get all sorts of resources and all sorts of information on how to contact your congressman. Please go out there and make sure you do that. As Lori mentioned, we need sponsors for this bill for it to be implemented nationally. And it's a no-brainer, and it's nonpartisan. This isn't about politics. It's about safety. It's about protecting the youth. So nothing like what happened to Lori and her family happens to anybody else in this world. From both Jim and I, God bless you both, honestly, for the work you're doing. Again, our condolences, but thank you so much for the hard work you're putting in, both of you, on this. We hope you'll come back. We want updates. We will do our part to share this and make sure people are out there contacting their congressman, because this is just a no-brainer. Simple no-brainer. Jim, anything before we sign off here?
Thank you for joining, Lori, and good seeing you again, Wayne. Hopefully we can have you back on our other show. We don't have
absolutely.
Any commercial breaks.
Yeah, we don't have a time constraint on there, so hopefully we can do that, and keep us in touch. Again, thank you, Lori. Thank you, Wayne, so much. God bless both of you, and we're on board. We'll help any way we can.
Thank you.
Folks, thank you again. We'll see you here next Tuesday, same time, 10 a.m. Thank you, Jim.
This is Two Guys, One Coup. Two guys, one coup, straight truth. No spin, just a clear-cut view. Headlines hit, we break them down. No run around, we call it now. Real talk, real facts, no disguise. Straight to the point, no alibis. Thanks for tuning in, we ride with you. America first.